Hilma's Ghost is a feminist artist collective that was co-founded by Brooklyn-based artists Danielle Tegeter and Sharmista Ray during the height of the pandemic in 2020. The collective seeks to address existing art historical gaps by cultivating a global network of women, non-binary, and trans artists whose work addresses abstraction and mysticism. The collective is named after the artist and mystic Hilma af Klint, whose groundbreaking exhibition at the Guggenheim in 2018 served as a reckoning for art history's erasure of women artists considered too mystical for the conservative art world. The collective believes that Western societies maintain a false binary between spirituality and science. Women are commonly associated with less desirable traits relating to superstition, and men with the higher values of reason. This rationalist bias has served to overlook history's women artists whose explorations of ancient and pre-modern knowledge systems are continued sources of personal strength and aesthetic innovation. Hilma's Ghost acts as a restorative project that uplifts these voices and makes them visible. In a period of unprecedented isolation and loss, Hilma's Ghost began as a way to gather community and heal together. The collective held monthly online workshops on subjects ranging from automatic drawing to experimental tarot and sigil making and witchcraft. The following year, Tegeter and Ray, both independent artists who use abstraction in their work, first collaborated on a series of 78 original drawings, 5 paintings, and an original tarot deck called Abstract Futures Tarot, which drew inspiration from the illustrations by Pamela Coleman Smith, the overlooked artist behind the hugely popular Rider-Waite deck. The collective's next body of work, titled Chromagic, evolved through a series of tarot spreads by the professional witch and tarot reader Sarah Potter. Using the card spreads as compositional inspiration, Tegeter and Ray used color symbolism to imbue the works with embedded meanings. In Radical Spirits, Tarot, Automatism, and Feminist Histories, Tegeter and Ray explore the creative, spiritual, and narrative potential of tarot, mediumship, and automatism in art-making. Tapping into the long-established but overlooked history of these practices at Hill-Stead, the collective zeroed in on a singular object that embodies many of the qualities and topics that they wanted to explore further. A small painting of a fruit basket, executed in a popular 19th century New England folk style called theorem painting. The image appeared to Tegeter and Ray like a hidden talisman, full of secrets waiting to be told. Its soft velvet texture, delicate yet lush, stained with pigments that have survived the erasures of time. The theorem painting is just one of many treasures in this family estate that was conceived and built by its founder, Theodate Pope Riddle, in 1901. According to the museum's archivist, the work was likely made by either the grandmother or great-grandmother of Theodate. In other parts of the house, rare Impressionist masterpieces by Monet, Whistler, Degas, and Mary Cassatt adorn the walls, highlighting the family's close rapport with the avant-garde artists of their era. At a time when women were expected to be wives and mothers, Theodate stood apart for her numerous talents and accomplishments, as well as her independent spirit and vision. Born as the only child of wealthy parents, she became one of the first women architects in the United States, an esteemed philanthropist, and a passionate advocate for women's rights. Theodate maintained many close female friendships over her lifetime, including with the artist Mary Cassatt. Theodate did marry, but not until she was almost 50 years old. The Hill-Stead's historical and geographic position holds special significance in regards to spiritualism and the struggle for women's rights. New England, and Connecticut in particular, were centers for phenomena pertaining to witchcraft and the occult since the 17th century and beyond. Within these histories, expressions of independence and sexual freedom for women were met with widespread hysteria. Under these patriarchal conditions, accusations of witchcraft became powerful tools to condemn women in line to become property owners, single mothers, and women who lived in poverty. In fact, the first witch execution documented in the American colonies occurred in Hartford at a site just 10 miles east of Farmington, the location of Hill-Stead, in 1647. Hilma's Ghost found Theodate, or rather Theodate found Hilma's Ghost, through the collective's work in the unseen realm of magic and its mysteries. While Theodate's work as an architect is well documented, her lifelong involvements with spiritualism and feminist politics are much less appreciated. She passionately supported exploration of the spirit world, participating in seances with notable mediums, and funding important research. Automatic writing from those seances, now housed in Hill-Stead's library, is a core element of this exhibition, which entwines the history of spiritualism in the Americas and Europe with automatic processes in the arts. As part of their research, Tegeter and Ray participated with Sarah Potter in channeling and drawing sessions at the historic house, all while engaging in other ritual and divinatory practices to create 5 new paintings for the show. These new works recover the lost art of theorem painting, a popular stenciling technique that was taught in girls' academies throughout New England in the 1800s. More than a century later, Tegeter and Ray have reimagined the techniques within theorem painting through an abstract and contemporary lens to honor and reclaim women's work. In this style, women used handmade stencils and numbered formulas to create fruit and floral arrangements that were highly favored painting subjects. Using a stiff brush on velvet areas within the plotted stencils, distinct color shapes could comprise complex compositional schemas of overlapping and interlocking forms. To make their compositions through an automatic process, Hilma's ghost created a series of written instructional and magical prompts with the help of their witch, Sarah Potter. Potter randomly drew these prompts out of a large jar, while Tegeter and Ray drew. A prompt could vary from drawing geometric shapes to envisioning color meditations, tracing invisible symbols, or mixing a magical elixir to drink. The exercise utilized the element of guided intention to focus the artist's individual presence and actions. For the paintings, the artists created over 200 custom stencils that enabled a special staining technique for oil paints on velvet surfaces. Radical Spirits takes its title from a foundational 1989 book by Anne Broad that considers the importance of spiritualism to the political liberation of American women in the 19th century. In her book, Broad writes, "Not all feminists were spiritualists, but all spiritualists advocated women's rights." It's uncanny that this area of New England would become a major site for women's empowerment through spiritualism. While spiritualism wasn't a defined movement at the time, it offered inclusion for women and a kinder alternative to mainstream religion. Women were not only equal to men in spiritualist spaces, the messages they received from beyond the veil often provided foundations of strength and self that translated into feminist politics. Hilma's ghost reimagines the relationship between the spiritual and the political for a new era of women's, non-binary, and trans liberation. In this way, the collective builds on the ancestral legacies of the powerful women artists and pioneers, like Theodate Pope-Riddle and Hilma af Klint, who bravely drew on the occult in their work and life, while channeling its healing powers for themselves.